Hello everyone! Welcome back to Drawn by Annie channel. This is me, Annie, and I will be drawing for you today. Grab your tea, coffee and snacks and let's dive into today's video. So how it's been with you? How's the weather? How's your family doing? I've chatted with my mom and my sister yesterday, and it was so nice to hear from them. I kind of miss them. Being away from family so long is quite lonely, to be honest. But what to do? Life is life, and even though we are far away, we are still in touch, which is what matters. Today I wanted to draw something simple, and I wanted to explore a little bit a creativity process and kind of showcase what is the difference between a normal person in my style and a Lyrian person. So I'm going to draw two portraits side by side, and for this one I'm going to choose my character Anne. If you've been around my channel for a while, then you remember my character. I drew him in one of my recent videos, and you also may know that he has a representation of him in a semi-realistic world. It's like an RPG world that is taking place in a little bit of a dystopian future of our world. And he also has a representation of him in my own fantasy setting, Lyria world, but since it's a completely other universe, let's say, he is different race. So today I wanted to explore the differences between his facial features here and there. So yeah, with this little exploration exercise, I wanted to kind of see and also show to you and to myself how I think when I'm drawing something that is related to Lyria and something that is not out of Lyria world, as well as I also wanted to show what is similar to both of these things, because as someone who is drawing a lot of character art, I wanted to kind of be more self-aware of what I'm doing when I'm doing it. So whatever I draw, I wanted to be intentional, not with just random thought, you know. So every time I draw any new detail to the character design, it should be something that either makes a function or is like telling a little story about the character, because details are usually there to kind of open up a character visually, if that makes sense. For this drawing, I'm not planning to do anything specifically super detailed or like spectacularly rendered. I just wanted to do like a quick sketch for a little practice, and I'm starting with the portrait of Shadowrun on. I'm making it more semi-realistic. So this is like the style that I adopted long time ago, little by little, and as I was practicing different facial features, I started to kind of repeat same patterns and same proportions, even though when I'm trying to draw different characters, I'm trying to make their faces look different, not, you know, follow the same face syndrome as a lot of artists do out there. Like, I want to make my own style that would be recognizable, but I don't want it to be a same face syndrome style. You know, I do appreciate a few artists out there who are drawing characters with same faces literally, and that's kind of what makes their style definitive, but I don't want to be this type of artist myself. So that's why I make an effort, and extra effort actually, to study different types of eyes and different type of noses and, you know, everything, so my characters would be unique in their faces. Like, there are features that you cannot really change if you're drawing the same character, even if it's a different style. For example, like hair color, like skin color, eye color, something that's like, you know, not changeable whatsoever. For example, in this specific example, I'm going to draw Anne as a human because he's human in Shadowrun, and I'm going to draw him as an Elegantian in Lyria world because he is this race, as Lyria world doesn't have a human race. So I will have to add some features from the race that are also like unremovable. So he's going to have some fluffy ears of caracal, and also his face will look a little bit different, as Elegantians, they have like also specific types of eyes and mouths, for example, and I will have to adjust that for the setting. So this is going to be a little bit different from his original design, even though it's like usually something that is not changed. But in this specific case, I will have to do that, and I will still try to keep it as much recognizable to original design as possible. You will see me try to do that right now. Usually for what I call style for the artist means either the tools they're using or like specific techniques they keep on implementing in their art. For example, maybe some coloring techniques, or maybe layering techniques, or line art specifically. So that usually what defines an art style, as well as, you know, proportions of the faces and characters and like whatever objects or subjects are the topic of the specific artists we are studying. But in this case, I'm just doing a sketch, which is not going to define much of the tools and layering and coloring and all of that, but rather visual parts of the definition of the art style. So the proportions of the face features like forms and shapes and, you know, things like that. That's at least what I'm looking at right now here with this exact study. Usually when I am studying someone else's art, I also look into the tools that they are using, and I mainly study traditional art users because I cannot really replicate whatever digital art styles out there on my paper, because it will be just looking so much different from the digital tools. I don't know if there is much point in trying to replicate the digital art on physical medium. Maybe that could be a fun challenge, but that's like pretty much it. I cannot do on an everyday basis a style that is supposed to be digital. Like most of my marker colors, they are looking a little bit like digital art if I color very, very precisely, and I try to avoid like patchiness, and if I have very fresh markers that are inking very well and their pigment is left on the paper just as if the printer was inking it. But as a traditional artist, I can pretty much study only traditional artists as myself to try and learn new techniques and new ways of using mediums, and maybe some other creative paths that are out there, but I haven't yet walked them. And to be honest, like I like the traditional medium for what it is. Like I have all these different markers and pencils, and you know, I tried a variety of paints before too. Like I've been into drawing for a long time, so I had that cool chance to try a lot of different mediums, and I have like plenty of tools in my inventory, let's say, that I can use on a regular basis. And I like traditional art for what it is, like with all these textures and all the imperfections. I actually really like how they synergize with human eye, which is also imperfect. So I really like to put an extra texture where I could have not done it, but adding this extra texture actually adds more soul to the painting or to the drawing. I actually really want to know how to add more textureness to my drawings, so sometimes I like to study and observe classical pieces for this exact purpose, because artists from old times, they only used like oils and canvases, which also gave like a big chunk of texture to their paintings. But nowadays we usually use a modern mediums, let's say, and the paper is actually the main source of the texture for the drawing, or what at least I have learned during my art journey. So with the paper, I really need to look into what I want to achieve as a result. So I often use like a very untextured paper, even right now. Like this sketchbook that I'm using, it's not even a sketchbook, it's a notebook, and it has very thin papers and they have little to no texture at all. And if I want to be more artsy craftsy, something like that, or like artsy messy, I want to use something more like to watercolor paper, because it has this nice square texture and it's a bit rough, and using markers can actually give a very fun results, and the arts that are made on this type of paper look somewhat cozier, if that makes sense. That's something to look into if you're looking to upgrade your art style as well. Like maybe you can change a little bit of the mediums, like part of them, or maybe add something extra, and that will be this finishing detail that you're looking for. Or the other way around, perhaps. Maybe you think your art style could be a bit too much overwhelming and you could use something simpler. So an art style could be very much just using like a fine liner. You know, I have seen these awesome artists do the line work and only line work, no coloring whatsoever, and it looks amazing. So I really encourage you to explore different types of arts and other artists and do like observation and see what you can learn from every piece of art that's out there for you to learn and to enjoy. This could be as easy as trying out the same medium in your own artwork, or trying out the same shapes or same color palette that somebody likes to use. So here, for example, in my own study, I am exploring the shapes of the eyes and face. Like you can see how it's the same character. Like you can see how he has the same hairstyle and he has same brows, more or less. He has like the same look in his eyes. This is completely different in terms of like visual appearance, because on the Shadowrun look you have like a perfectly normal human. He's just having the ears and he has some distinctive features like a cat pupils, and he has a little tattoo on his neck and his ear is pierced with a little earring. But with the Lyria world representation you can clearly see the differences with his ears and a little bit difference on his eyes and his brows. So he has these little extra hairs on his brows because of his Elegantian origin, and also his mouth is a little different. It looks more like cat mouth, and he also has these little teeth appearing because Caracals, they like have long front fangs. In Lyria version he can also appear a little bit younger because of how his head is related to his neck, because usually when characters have like wider necks they appear older or more realistic, let's say. And in Lyria world I usually use the style that is more cartoonish or more anime like. So yeah, he can also appear a little younger on the Lyria part. But there are features that are unchanged throughout the universes, like his hairstyle is still the same and his concerned look in the eyes is the same. Mostly the brows are the same way, like they're shaped the same way from the bottom part, and he also has this little tattoo on his neck on both of them. It's just the symbol is different because symbol of long life is Ankh in Shadowrun or our world, and in Lyria world there's another symbol for the same meaning that also tells us about his origin in both of the worlds, as Ankh comes from Egypt, so he's Egyptian. And this little tattoo of the plant of life in Lyria world is also determining he is Elegantian, because Elegantians, they are worshipping nature. So I try to keep that as stylized as well. But I also try to keep the anatomy of the neck and the face pretty similar, as well as chin form. So it's kind of similar to each other. Like his chin is more flat, as you can see, but I have changed his nose a little bit. That can also affect the face look so much, as you can see. I try to keep the same detailing on the eyes, so I have his lashes on the corners of his eyes a little bit darker, and I have these little lines to define his eyes as well, like they're a little bit tired. You get the idea. So that's what I'm trying to study here, and I might be doing this a little more often maybe. If you're interested in that, please leave a comment and I will make another video on studying the facial features, maybe next time with a character that you suggest and a race that you suggest from the Lyria world, or maybe before that I need to make a more informative video on races from Lyria world. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me on this little exercise/study. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you liked the result. Leave a comment to support me and please subscribe to this channel if you want to see more of my work. And I hope you will stick around and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye!